Hello Slicey Dicers, this is Brian with another knife video for you. Today is just something kind of fun. I'm putting this out on Labor Day 2018. It's a holiday. I hope you guys aren't working. I'm trying to keep things kind of light this weekend. I did one serious review on Saturday, but last night I put silly stand-up stuff up and then doing this. This is just a top 10 list of my most fidget-friendly knives. This isn't necessarily the smoothest action, although a lot of these do a very smooth action. It isn't my favorite knives. It's just ones that I like to sit and fiddle with. We all do it. We're all flipping addicts. Just sit there flicking knife open. Whether you're sitting at your desk, whether I do it on long car journeys on the highway, somebody's going to say that's not safe. Well, whatever. I do. Sit around watching TV, whatever. Just stuff that's fun just to play with. So again, these are just ones I own, not of all the world. I don't have access to all the knives in the world because there is no God, so I don't. So we're just going to talk about the top 10 most fidget-friendly knives that I own, the ones that I just find myself playing with the most. First up, these are in no particular order except the last one because I have an honorable mention, so that has to go last. We have the Benchmate 940. I love the access lock. It's fun to play with on almost all their knives, but I think it works the best on the 940 in my opinion. I think just the weight of the blade and stuff just makes it swing easier. And the 940 is a great knife, so it's often in my pocket anyway, and then I've got something fun to fiddle around with. Good thumb stud, use the access lock, super smooth drop shutty, very, very fun. We're going to keep these short. These aren't like reviews of the knives, just talking about that they're fun to play with. Next up, fairly new edition, the Buck Marksman. Never had one of these before. They've been out for a while, but I never had one. And man, they're a blast. Rockets right out, and it has this G&G Hawk design back strap lock. I can't remember what they call it now. They have a name for it, but I don't remember what it is. And you pull that back, and it just totally drops shut. And it makes cool mechanical little tinky noises too, which I like a lot. I like the noises this knife makes. It's not similar to anything else. The aluminum handles and stuff, it just makes unique noises. Really, really like this. You can Spidey flick it too. Thumb flick it, Spidey flick it, all those things. Great fun knife to play with. The Benchmade Marksman. Buck Marksman. Got Benchmade on my mind because I just looked at it. Next up, one that's not on the channel very much, but one I do carry a whole lot. The Steel Will Cut Jack. This is the full-size 3.5-inch version. The Italian-made M390 ball bearing. Super, super, super smooth. Great detent. And just a total drop shutter. Listen to the detent. Love that. Just a great knife. And again, a very useful knife. I've used it a lot. As you can see, I'm not even going to bother to zoom in and show how bad the edge on this looks right now. It does not look very pretty. But just a very, very fun knife to play with. And again, useful knife, so that makes it even better. Next up, kind of a unique one. I have not done a review on this knife yet because they weren't available. I don't want to tease you guys too much, but they are going to be available again in November 2018, so I will be doing a full review on this knife, so look forward to that. This is the Burke Blades Wolf Pup. It is made by designed by Burke Blades, and it's just one of the smoothest action knives I've ever owned. Very small, it's only 3 inches, but the blade is heavy enough that it still just is very smooth and drop shutty. And again, listen to that detent. I love this thing, and man, just going like this, you can't feel anything. It's just, wow, you can't feel anything, you can't hear anything. It's just a great action on this knife. And it has such a solid thwack when you open it. It feels like a knife twice its size. It really does. And just beautifully made also. But we'll get into all that in the review. And one of my favorite knives. I carry this thing all the time. Next up, another fairly recent addition. We have the ZT0393SW. This happens to be the Stonewashed Sprint Run, but you can also get it. The regular version is probably be just about the same. I had the regular version a while ago, and I think, as far as I remember, it was just the same. This one's getting nicely broken in. It's been a long time since I had a fairly large ZT, and I forget just how good they are. This one makes an extra loud thwack, I think because it's got the studs that act as a stop. So that always makes a cool noise. And because I think the noise is part of the fidget factor too. It's just a solid built knife. And again, great detent. Bang. And just drops. Super smooth. This is a very fun knife to play with, and one that again has been finding in my pocket a whole lot. Next up, from the day I got one of these, this is the Real Steel Metamorph. From the day I got one, this is my second one. I had a blue one. I didn't like the blue. I sold it or gave it. I think I could use it for a giveaway, and then I got a gray one. This hardly ever finds its way into my knife case because it's usually sitting on my desk because it's just fun to play with. Why? It's a front flipper, and it's a very smooth one. And there's something satisfying about that front flippiness. And again, very smooth. Very drop shutty. Just a lot of fun. I really do love the Metamorph. It's worth the $60 just for that. If you're debating about a front flipper, this is a very smooth, easy one to use. It will be a good judge, and it's only $60. Then you can decide whether you want some of the really expensive front flippers out there. Next up, this list would not be complete without a Spyderco with a compression lock. I chose this Paramilitary 2 because it is the Knife Center exclusive with the Crew Wear and the Polished G10. The PM2 I carry the most, and Spyderco will say that they don't put extra attention in the quality control of the sprint runs and the exclusives, but I say pshaw, because every sprint run exclusive I've had has always been better than the production ones. This is the smoothest PM2 I've ever handled, and I've handled many, and it's just great. Usual Spyderco stuff. You can Spidey flick it, all those things. Compression lock, basically reverse liner lock. You pull it and it just drops. That bounced off my finger there, but this is really hard to do in front of the camera, but it's just a lot of fun to play with. It really is. Or if you want to open it, you can just open it like that. So it's very much fun to play with, and it's a great knife too, so got that to boot. This next one I called, when I reviewed it a few months ago, I called it the most fun knife I've reviewed in 2018. I didn't say the best, the funnest knife I reviewed in 2018. I stand by that still. The Kaiser Mini Sheepdog. Just a very cool little bulldog of a knife with an awesome action. And it's just fun to open. Again, the great detent, that's a constant thing here. Either a cool lock or a great detent makes for a fun knife. And this is just totally drop shutty because that very small but heavy blade. And what's great about this is it's small enough to carry as a secondary knife. So if you have a knife that's big and useful but kind of boring and you want to have something to just kind of fidget with also with your secondary, this is a very fun but useful and pretty beefy little secondary knife to carry. Next up, the Tuya Knife Envy. This is a pretty new model from Tuya Knife. You probably are going to wonder about this color because they only made 10 of these in this this gray with the blue backspacer and blue pocket clip. They're normally bronze with green and green, which I'm not a super big fan of. But I am a big fan of the action on this. It is, again, very smooth, running on ball bearings, and just super drop shutty. And it makes a very good solid thwack. Notice I've only got two titanium frame locks and one titanium bolster lock on this list. But this is cool. This is a very fun knife to play with, one that I carry quite a bit. Last of the top 10, we have one honorable mention, but this squeaked its way in at the last minute. I've only had this thing for a few days, but I don't feel this list would be complete without the SIVB Praxis. This is made by We. It's their budget line knife, $42.50, and the action on it is just outstanding. Again, very solid thwack, and now I've had this for a while and broken it in and took it apart and re-lubed it myself. It's even better than it was in the review. That detent is just so good, and that thwack. I like a good sound. I guess I'm an auditory kind of guy, but very, very good. I knew this would make the list even if I waited a couple months, so I snuck it in there. But I will give an honorable mention to the one that it knocked out. The one it knocked out is the Tangra MEK Tur. This is a button lock. It's a pretty unique lock. Again, you see a theme here. Either really good detents and solid noises or kind of unique locks. This is a button lock. You don't see these very much, especially in this price range. This is well under $50. I can't remember the exact price I paid for it. A button lock. It's really good. It's breaking in nicely. When I first got it, I wasn't super impressed with it. I thought it was good, but not great. But it's breaking in really well. I haven't, you know, polished the washers or anything like that. Just been using it, and it's breaking in really nicely. And it is pretty fun. It takes some skill, though, to really get it to drop every single time, which kind of also makes it fun. You got to kind of play with it and learn it. So that's it. That's my top 10 with one honorable mention. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed picking them out and playing with a bunch of knives. So, all right. Hope you guys have had a good time watching this. Have a happy Labor Day. I've been Brian. Have a good one.